I need a muffler.
Papers.
Good afternoon and welcome to the May 18, 2022 regular meeting of the Gates County Board of Commissioners. I am Dr. Anthony Riddick, the 2022 Chair of the Board, and I'm joined this afternoon by Vice Chair Linda Hoffler, Commissioner Jack Owens, Commissioner Ray Freeman, Commissioner Jonathan Craddock, County Manager Tim Wilson, and Clerk to the Board, Jolitha Chestnut. At this time, I'm going to ask Vice Chair Linda Hoffler to lead us in prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear God, as we come to this meeting today, thank you for the blessings you have bestowed on this nation, this state, and this county. And thank you for the blessings you have bestowed on each of us individually. And help us never forget that you are a loving, gracious, and merciful God. Dear God, I ask that you will hold us in your arms as we try to make decisions. Grant us wisdom and discernment, and let us try to look at it through different eyes as we consider issues before us. To God, I also ask you to let us remember your commandments. Love God, but love your neighbor. And if we were to do those two things, our nation would be in a much better place. All these things we ask in thy name, for thy sake. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'm asking for a motion to approve agenda as presented or agenda adjustments.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make an adjustment.
Okay,
Item D under consent agenda and item J under consent agenda to new business.
D and J, new business.
Yes, and that would fall, they would become F and G under new business.
And Madam Chair, if I may, just to inform the board that you have been presented with two items that have been requested, one from the tax department, subject matter being revised job descriptions, and a second request, it's a budget amendment request from the Department of Social Services for the purchase of laptops. These have been presented and requested to see if the board would be of the mind to place these on the agenda this evening. If not, these items would definitely be placed on next month's regular meeting agenda.
Is it the pleasure of the board to put these two items, the tax department revised job description and the budget amendment request from DSS, on the agenda tonight?
I would agree.
Are they time sensitive?
Yes, they are.
I would agree. Do you need a formal motion or?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
One at a time. Let's take the revised job description for the tax department.
I make a motion that we accept that to our regular agenda.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The next one is the budget amendment request for Gates County DSS purchase of laptop.
I make a motion that we add that to the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
No.
Did you wish them to be on consent, or do you wish to discuss them?
Regular.
It needs to be on the regular agenda.
Okay, on the regular agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
You got it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Are there any more adjustments to the agenda? Okay. hold on to get this right here. Okay, next we have the introduction of new employees. Staff will introduce new hires.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. It's my privilege to introduce, I know you've met him at a previous work session, Brad Arnold. He is our new Utility Department Director. Brad, you can come forward. Like I said, I know you've already briefly met Brad, but let you know that, he comes to the county at the most opportune time. We were very fortunate to find somebody with his experience, and he is fully credentialed for all of the activities that require credentialing for the operation of both our water and wastewater treatment facilities. So that is a very good thing, and like I said, very fortunate to have him. He started beginning of this month. Actually, we snagged him to come in a little earlier because he overtook our department of one. But he has been busy. He has been interviewing candidates for the vacancies in there, and we are slowly and surely filling those vacancies. I've got full confidence with his experience that he's going to get this department up and running and where it needs to be, and also to grow it as the county desires to grow with economic development. So glad you're with us, Brad, and
Nice to be here.
Just in time. Glad to have you here. And I think when we were having our budget meeting, Brad shared I think that was a meeting where I first met you, whatever, shared a couple of things that told me he knew his stuff. So
Yeah.
glad to have you.
All right, nice to be here. Nice to meet you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Are there any others? Okay. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments signed in?
Consent agenda.
What now?
Consent.
Sorry. I need a motion with the removal of two items, D and J, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Been properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Now we get the public comments. Soon as she finishes her notes.
And probably it might be good to announce, Madam Chair, that tonight on our agenda, we do have scheduled under public hearing two items. One is the proposed FY or fiscal year 23 budget for the county, and we also have a rezoning application. Anyone here wishing to speak on either of those matters for the record on those two items, at that point on the agenda under item 5 is when you will be afforded to present your comments. That's where they'd be most appropriate. Any other comments, please feel free to come forward during the public comment period. But if they're specific to the two items for public hearing, we ask that you hold those thoughts until that time.
Madam Clerk?
Okay. First, for public comments, Anthony Sanders, he's giving an update on new homes.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Saunders, 798 Willington Road, Gates, North Carolina. To our board and to our county manager, I'm here to just give another update on where we are with the 4 replacement homes. I've been monitoring these homes, I've been taking pictures, and just want to give you a brief update where we are. The home on Mill Pond Road went by yesterday, and the plumbers and the electricians were there doing their thing, getting all that going. At one point, the houses had been put there, but it didn't seem like there was a lot of action going on. But yesterday, there was the plumbers and the electricians. All right. The house on Carter Road, also, the home is there. The homeowner was there when I came by, and he gave me a tour of they've started on their plumbing, and I think that most of the water lines have been hooked up in the house. So he was a little disappointed that he's not in his home yet, but I just assured him that the day is coming, and we haven't given up on any of them, so just be patient. And sometimes you have to do that. People just need a little encouraging when they kind of get down. You know, they've been out of the houses for, a couple of weeks, months, something like that. So anyway, he's ready to get back in, but he was understanding that, things happen, so we're going from there. All right, I ran into the gentleman also yesterday of the home on Willington Road. Now, his house is not there. He's told me yesterday that they had put new sand out there in the lot, and they're waiting for the sand to dry so they can dig the foundation and get things going. And based on what I've seen, the route they're taking is they're working on the mill pond. They leave the mill pond, they go to Carter Road, and now they're supposed to be coming to Willington Road, hopefully in the next week sometime. As far as the home on Tuggio Road, I'm understanding there's a couple of glitches that you guys are working on. So hopefully when that gets going, hopefully be able to go out and take some pictures, and hopefully by next board meeting, I'll have a better report. I'm hoping I can report that everybody's in their house, but we'll go for that. So again, thank you, County Manager, for stepping up and kind of giving the contractors and all those folks a little nudge to come on out, let's finish this. So to all of you, thank you, and I'm sure the families will as soon as they can get in their homes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Patrick Martin, Public Safety.
Good evening, Commissioners, County Manager. I would like to say I forgot to mention this the last meeting, and I'm here to apologize for it, but I wanted to thank y'all for your recent purchase of the Motorola radio equipment for the county. That is a good product. We've used it for many years in Chesapeake, and it's been well needed. I mean, the system we have now is pretty antiquated. The second thing I would like to mention is we have a new truck in the county. If you haven't seen it, it's over here in Gatesville. It's pink and white. It's the new cancer truck. Gatesville got it from the city of Chesapeake. Commissioner Owens was kind enough to donate 2 tires to the front of it because when we received it, they needed a little beefing up, per se. It's currently undergoing de-lettering in order to get re-lettered with Gatesville and all the other stuff that we put on it. That truck was a project in Chesapeake many years ago, a little history on it. We had several department members that went through some cancers, various types, and people associate the pink with breast cancer, but they wanted to encompass all the cancers and not just one. And I think we did a very fantastic job with it in Chesapeake, and we're going to make it even better here. And I think it's something to be proud of in the county because it is the only one that I know of anywhere around other than the one that Chesapeake's redoing up there that replaced this one. The other thing I would like for y'all to consider is for budget or however you want to do it, but I understand that our emergency manager is taxed with a lot of things. Not only does he have to split time between emergency management, which is its own full-time job. Now he's tasked with, he's our fire marshal. He is running the 911 center. So, I mean, with a new human resource director at some point coming online, a consideration to help with him would be maybe a 911 director. Somebody that oversees the 911 center itself, not somebody that's associated with another department, not the sheriff's department, not the emergency management, not whoever, but their own entity. There's other counties in this state that do that. Chowan's one of them. Camden might be another. We've got them up in Virginia like that too. And they only answer to themselves and they answer to the county manager. And there's no influence from other departments on how to steer that radio system to their benefit. In addition to that, when you go 800, if other mutual aid cities or counties around you switch something in their system, That doesn't mean just their radios have to be changed, all of ours have to be changed. So you can imagine if the emergency manager is taxed with some type of event going on in the county, and now you've got a pressing timeline to get these radios redone and reprogrammed so that everybody's all intact, you know, that's a lot of time. I know, I've been doing it for 30-something years in Chesapeake. That's what I do in addition to being a firefighter in Chesapeake. I do all the radios for our city. So just a thought, future budgets from now, to maybe think about having somebody that's in charge of that solely. And maybe that will help eliminate some of the issues that are still ongoing that haven't been addressed with the 911 center that are not going to be publicly spoken about at this juncture. And now that we have a full-time water director, it's nice that maybe we can start getting some of these hydrants that have been out of service for many commissioners before y'all. So the blame doesn't lay solely on the ones sitting here. This has been a systemic problem from reporting it, and nothing ever getting done. Either through not funding it, it's definitely been brought to the attention of previous commissioners, and it's never been taken care of. But my main task was to thank y'all for what you have done so far. A lot of people criticize some things, but every now and then you've got to acknowledge the things that you do that address the needs of not only as a citizen, but as a volunteer in this county and trying to improve the quality of life around here. Thank you.
John Kittrell, Fire Service.
Good evening. I've got a couple things to speak about. First, the fire chiefs of Gates County had got together and come up with, I was mandated by them or asked by them to present this letter to y'all. The 5 fire chiefs of Gates County have determined that a ladder truck is not in the best interest of Gates County and its fire departments this time. We have asked Chief Kittrell to relay this information to the board, and they were pretty adamant they wanted everybody to sign that, so all 5 of us have signed that. We appreciate the consideration, and part of that discussion was we would much rather see a real effort to, just like Patrick just said, getting some of these hydrants fixed and some of these leaks in our water system. That is super important to our fire departments and to our fire ratings, which is important to everybody, every business and every resident. Okay, the next topic is from me, Fire Chief of Sunbury, John Taylor Kittrell. I just found out Monday, and from what I have found out since then, that not many people know this, that the $35,000 volunteer fire department supplemental grant that was in the budget this past year, it's not funded. I about had a heart attack Sunday night when I logged into my Chiefs portal and I didn't see it. Monday morning I called and said, what happened? I know I sent the application in, and Ms. Lofton told me, oh, it's there. It's hidden for everybody because the legislator did not fund it. That's going to tear a terrible hole in my budget in my department, and I know it's going to do the other ones because we were planning on this. So what I'm asking you tonight is please reach out to our representatives, reach out to Senator Steinberg and Representative Hunter and ask them to do what they can so they can get this. It's the $35,000 volunteer fire department supplemental grant. Thank you for your time.
Do you have that in writing so we can give it to the clerk or email it or something so we'll know what we're talking, how we have these talking points?
I don't, but I can.
Just get it to the clerk so when we talk to them, we know exactly what we're asking for.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Bright, Fire.
Good evening, board members, county manager, Dr. Riddick. I'm here tonight as a civilian, more or less, and a member as a firefighter. I have spoken to you on a couple occasions about a fire training center and brought that up before you. And now that the school has officially decided they're going to have the program, that is an added benefit for them as well. I have applied for 2 grants and have been on the phone this week with FEMA. They are no longer funding training facilities. So that money does not exist anymore. Through other fire programs I've checked, and they're no longer funding at this time anything for fire training facilities. A training facility is a lot of points or partial points for the fire ratings for the department. It works for the certification of our members. It's one of those things that is probably number 1 on the list is the certification and training and safety of our firefighters. So if there's anything you could do to help us with that or any grants that you know of, I don't know exactly what we're talking, it would depend on what we would pick with the help of the fire marshal, but you're looking anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000. We have the property, it's secured, and that's part of what the prison property was for the fire departments when the state came down for a training area. And that would, building something rather than trying to renovate what's out there would be money ahead. It would be built specifically for training. It could be used for EMS, their rescue for ropes and ladder training. It could be used in some parts for the sheriff's department. There's door breaching facilities in it or different things, so it could be a multi-purpose. But that would be a plus for every firefighter toward his certification. It would help us to get more classes here with the training center. So I would ask that you would help us with that and look into that somewhere. I've got some contacts and I'd be glad to help, but I think that's just something that we really need. I'm all about certification and training. And Chief Kittrell and Patrick, 100% the water system hydrants, even though we are a water shuttle, we still have to go somewhere and fill those tankers up, and we need those fire hydrants, and we need the flows like they're supposed to be, and that should be a priority when the water department starts going. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Bright,
Yes.
would you also send the clerk some direction as far as grants and your contacts?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Last speaker is Mr. Willie Smith, upcoming D.A. Stetson.
Great afternoon, Chairwoman of the Board, County Manager, Board members. Hope you all are doing well today. Up here today, well, let me introduce myself for those who do not know me. Obviously, the Board does, but those in the public. My name is Willie R. Smith III. I am the Gates County Department of Social Services Director. I'm here today to follow up on what I spoke about last month at last month's meeting about us hosting pretty much a Medicaid Health Expo. We are going to have all of the Medicaid options that we provide here in county on June 23rd at the community center, providing information as well as opportunities to ask questions of them. The event will be going on from 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. specifically, so for those individuals who are working, they have an opportunity to attend as well. There will be a vendor portion as well as presentations going on. I do have a flyer which you all have in your hands, and I do plan on printing out and disseminating some more as soon as I have an opportunity. My apologies for not having some more available for the public, but I literally just got the flyer back from the state probably about 5:05. So I apologize for not having enough there for anybody in the community who may be wanting to be aware of that. But the flyer will be available on the website as well as at our office in the community center. So I hope you all can spread this message along, as well as those community members. I hope we can see you all there. Other than that, I hope you all have a great day and God bless.
Thank you. Is that the last one for public comment? I need a motion to open public hearing for the county manager's proposed fiscal year 23 budget.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we open the public hearing for the county manager's proposed FY 23 budget. All in favor? Aye. Public hearing is open. Mr. County Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As required by statute, the board is required to have a public hearing on the proposed budget. This will be for fiscal year 23, which begins July 1. You do have a balanced budget with revenues and expenditures totaling $18,798,961. You have heard from your department heads, the various agencies. You've had my recommendation, and this is the last part of your public input is the conduct of this public hearing to hear general comments from the public regarding this budget. Afterwards, the board will need to have some special meetings to start your deliberations in earnest concerning this budget for adoption, which must be done by June 30th.
One individual from the public, and that's John Cottrell, that signed up for comments.
Here's a letter that,
Thank you.
wow, one person for a budget with a 12.7%, $1.6 million increase over last year, and I'm the only one signed up to speak about it. Wow. About as disappointing as the turnout yesterday was all over the country, not just here. So I've got a bunch of questions about this budget. $1.6 million increase over last year. Where is all this additional revenue coming from? Is it sustainable? That's the key thing. Is it sustainable? What happens next year, the next year, the next year? You know, it doesn't take much to figure out that a recession is looming. I mean, we've got crazy inflation. We've got things that most of us in here have never seen in our lifetime. It's coming. So the sales tax increases that Gates County has benefited from in the last couple of years has largely come from all this money flowing down from the federal government into people's pockets and them going on Amazon and online shopping. Well, what's going to happen when a recession? I just can't believe that next year to next year that we're going to see the sales tax revenues that we're seeing right now simply because of that. The money's going to dry up. The federal government cannot keep spending money like they have, and look what it's done to inflation. So I'm confused about several things. The budget message says that no monies were from the unassigned fund balance, but if you look at page 8, there's $897,353 from the fund balance. It says fund balance appropriated. So I'm a little confused about that. I'm even more confused about basically blaming the sheriff's department for 1.2% property tax increase. What's that? Less than $125,000? But the budget increase is $1.6 million. So there's several other departments getting more than the sheriff's department got. EMS, administration and finance were larger than last year. And versus 2 years ago, administration, finance, emergency management, EMS, and building and grounds was almost as much of an increase as the sheriff's office. So to have that large of an increase and blame that less than $200,000 or $125,000 property increase on one department doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Another question I have is, I think it's great that the county manager switched health insurance to save money and get a better plan. That's great, but this budget this year is 123% more than last year. I mean, is that a mistake or what? I thought there was a decrease. So I also believe it is a mistake not to fund a vehicle for the sheriff's office. You know, this has been hashed around. It was hashed around 3 years ago, 4 years ago. They've got what, 12, 14 cars? You need to fund 2 cars every year. If you don't, then you build up and then you've got a bunch of cars wore out and you had to buy 4, 5, or 6 at a time. I think it's much more physically responsible to just buy 2 every year. He's got, what, 4 or 5 with about 100,000 miles now. He just asked for 1. So, you know, I've heard some talk here in the last week or two about the request from the rescue squad. That's a large increase. But it's got to be, and I'm sure their cost, obviously diesel, their cost for fuel must be astronomical, and I understand that. And that's going to continue for every department that's got a vehicle. But it probably doesn't look good for the county employees to get a 5% increase and the EMS get a 10% increase. I have heard some grumbling about that. So $1.6 million increase and 0 more to the schools. I think that there's a lot of work to do on this budget before it's approved. Thank you.
Is that it?
That's the latest.
That's the last speaker? Okay. Do I ask for close?
Yeah, you need to close it.
Motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. Fellow commissioners, we need to choose a date for a special meeting to go back into the budget and make some adjustments before we can bring it back for approval. So I want you to look at your calendars. And this is Wednesday, maybe by Friday, you send me something so that we can look at the calendar with the finance director and the county manager so that we can come back together and do another work session so that we can get the budget balanced by June 30th. So by Friday, May 20th, at 5 o'clock, please have something on email. Look at your calendar so we can get on the calendar again. This is the process that we use. We don't vote on anything tonight. This was your opportunity to speak to us about your concerns, and we've heard them. We've taken notes of all the, not only the public comments, but the public hearing comments, and we will go back in the budget and make necessary adjustments. Also, during that special work session, we will ask some of the presenters, I'll call them presenters, to come before us again with their request for fiscal year 23. The departments presented their budgets. The stakeholders presented their budgets. The county staff, finance department balanced the budget on that first go-around. And that's another, this is how it works. Now there's going to be another go-around. So we took notes. Be prepared when we set the special meeting or special session to come back up, and we will hear from EMS and EMT and the sheriff department and any other entity that we heard from in the beginning. You're gonna get another notice from the finance director. I keep trying to see Kim. Mm-hmm. You're gonna get another notice to come back because the county manager and his staff is gonna work on this budget. We know we have a year that's challenging. We're not the only county that's challenged to balance the budget by July 1st with inflation doing what it does. And read the narrative that was put out with the county manager. And we are going to do the best we can to balance this budget and be as fair as we can across this county. As chair, it has been a challenging year. It's going to be more challenging. Some of the things we have to do are because of years of not doing anything. Didn't do anything. So now we see ourselves with water, wastewater, staffing, compensation for staffing, health, you name it. We are trying to adjust the best we can. And we're going to do the best we can for the entire county. And so look at your calendars, commissioners. Send me a suggestion for the upcoming special meeting, and then we'll work with the finance department and the county manager to get that scheduled. In the meantime, I hope you took note of the concerns of the citizen or the citizen, Mr. Kittrell, and we'll go from there. We've heard you even before today, and we're not alone, but that doesn't help. We know about inflation, and I'm taking chair privilege. We know about inflation, and just like inflation hits your house, it hits this county, and we have to address it. And we're going to do the best we can. That it's not, we have to balance the budget, and there's going to be some pain and balance in this budget. And we're not going to point fingers, but we're going to look at performance, we're going to look at departments and what's going on, and try to make some adjustments so that we can all do our jobs, or they can do their jobs on a efficient, effective basis. I thank you for your comments. You will be notified with a special meeting as usual, and we'll let you know when we come back, and it's an open meeting, and we'll go from there. This is May 18th, so we got to June 30th to get this done, and I thank you for your comments. I need a motion to go into public hearing for rezoning 202204-MA-01, Walter and Renee Rodan, reclassification of property from A-1 to C-1 district.
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we go into public hearing for rezoning. All in favor?
Aye.
We're in. Okay. Ms. Cherry,
Good evening.
she's the staff that's going to present to us this afternoon.
How are you doing this evening?
Doing great.
We're here tonight to hear the request to amend the zoning on a 1.41 acre parcel identified as parcel 02-00018, addressed as 1120 US 158 West, located in the Hall Township. The parcel is west of White Oak Road, south and adjacent to US 158, east of Howell Lane, and northwest of Turner Road. This request is to rezone the property currently zoned A1 agricultural to C1 commercial. And the application and request is from Walter and Renee Rodan.
And this is the old White Oak
Yes.
that has been commercial.
Yes, it's been there for quite a while, I understand. I've heard a lot of stories about this. It was, I think, classified as a shopping center in the deed. At one time, White Oak Shopping Center, if I'm not mistaken. Has a lot of history. I've heard quite a lot about that. And Mr. and Miss Rodan is here tonight if you have any questions of them, or I'll be more than happy to answer any questions as well.
They're here tonight? They're here tonight?
Yes, they are
Okay.
here.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they
Welcome.
are
Do you
here.
have something to say? Would you like to come up to the mic? Yeah, you got to come to the mic.
And we want everybody to hear you.
I have that property, and it's fallen into disrepair, so, I have to put money into it, and, I wanted to see about getting it zoned commercial before, because that would determine, how much money I put into the building. Basically, that's kind of where I'm at. I use it for storage, I do construction, so I just have stuff in there, but, it needs a new roof, and it needs, George Parker's end, the roof is collapsing, so that's got to be redone. It's quite a bit of money. And, if I spend that kind of money in there at some point, I may want to rent that, end unit out where George Parker used to be, or something like that, I don't know. But it just will determine how much money I put into fixing the building up.
Are there any questions or comments from Mr. Rodan? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we need to make sure nobody in the audience, we need to make sure nobody in the audience has anything.
Oh, I'm going to get to it. I just want to get him up here first with the staff, and Ms. Cherry's in the back. Is there anyone else that would like to come to the podium?
Good afternoon. I'm Ann Howell, 29 White Oak Road, Ewell, North Carolina. Excuse me. This joins my land. At one time, years ago, it probably, before that store was built, it was all one thing. I don't really know. I've been there for 70 years. I I would be happy to see something done with that building because, as they said, there's a lot of memories there. My kids and I one night watched the original building burn, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. That was the reason that Lycurgus Howell died as a result of a heart attack from seeing his building burned. So it's history. And I don't know how in the world it ever got to be agriculture all these years because there's nothing there except the parking lot and the building. So there could be no agriculture on that part. So somewhere along the line, something slipped through the cracks. But I would be happy to see it listed as commercial. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience?
At this time, can I make a motion?
Yes, you may.
I make a motion that we rezone it from,
No, I got to close it first.
what?
Close.
I got to
Okay, close, okay.
I thought you were going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Public hearing is closed. Upon receiving no further comments, what is your pleasure? A motion and a second is being requested to approve or deny application 202204-MA-01 as submitted by Walter and Renee Rodan, requesting to rezone partial 0200018 from A1 agricultural to C1 commercial and remains consistent with the goals and policies as outlined in the Gates County Comprehensive Plan.
I move that we approve it to bring it in line with our zoning ordinance.
And that's a motion, I'll second that motion.
Properly made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Will be rezoned.
We'll be watching to see what happens.
Your notes. Thank you.
Thank you. Old business tax collection and appraisal report, Chris Hill, tax administrator.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You have in your packet a copy of the April 2022 tax collector's report. Good month in April. We collected over $70,000 for the month. An additional $83,000 that came in the form of DMV funds. We collected about $9,000 in legal fees from Zacchaeus Legal Services for the month. We're very close to where we were last year, collection-wise at this time. We still have May and June left to go. Any questions for me?
Any questions for Mr. Hill?
Very obvious, it's running right along. Fast.
We strive for a 100% collection rate. Most counties do not ever reach a 100% collection rate. So that's why, for budget purposes, we usually shoot for 97. You can see we're at 97 now. We've got 2 more months left to go in the fiscal year, so hopefully we can get as close to 100 as we can.
Do we have any properties that Zacchaeus is going to be advertising at the courthouse? Anything coming up?
Not that I'm aware of. They're coming June the 18th. But as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, they're not auctioning any property off. They're just coming to record a deed.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Very good.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Ms. Outland, you know you're going to report tonight. Finance Director Extraordinaire. I forgot, and before you began, I just flat forgot to announce during last meeting, our regular board meeting, that you received another certification. Tell us what that certification is, please.
It's the North Carolina Certification for Finance Officers.
All right. And you a SKE, S-K-E?
Oh, yes, for the audit purposes.
And what
Yeah.
is that?
I think it's skills, knowledge, expertise.
Skills, knowledge, and expertise. All right. Well,
And she's-
congratulations.
Aren't you going to be doing some of the audit preparation here for the auditors?
Yes, we usually basically do everything except put it in that binded book that comes out. The auditing firm does that, but we do all the schedules and turn in all that information to the team.
Okay. All right.
Didn't have much to report for this month. I mean, we've been busy looking at budget items. Sales tax revenue, I think this was the second lowest month, but we still received $233,000. We are still on track to receive, we anticipate to receive more than what we budgeted in this current budget. That's really all that's going on right now. We did have a meeting today with our audit team already to start planning for this year's audit. I think they're going to be on site starting in June for some of that, so busy time.
Tell us about the opera funds. You got your report in on time, April 30th?
Yes, because we had not expended any money since we received the money. That report went through, I believe, March 31st. We didn't have any expenditures to report, so it was a very simple report this time.
Okay.
And I don't have it in front of me when the next one.
Reporting. But it's reported, what, quarterly? Almost quarterly?
Yes, yes. And you only report on what you have expended with the funds in the specific categories that they give you.
Okay. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Oh, any questions for Kim? Okay. All right. Congratulations again. Community Center scheduling a work session to decide corrective action alternative and authorize specifications be prepared for soliciting bids for project. Mr. Wilson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As this board has discussed before, we know that the community center is in need of tender loving care, both the roof and the exterior. The roof replacement is fairly straightforward. The building does need a new roof in its entirety. There are some alternatives when it comes to the siding of the building. There was an engineering firm that was hired by the school board that came in and did an evaluation of this building to determine all of the problems surrounding the water infiltration that was occurring, and it just wasn't simply through the failures of the roof system, but also of the brick walls, where water was infiltrating through the bricks, and some other defects in how the brickwork was installed. In short, there are two options to try to correct the problem with the walls of the building. One is a treatment of the brick itself and some repair or alteration of some of the brickwork to try to prevent further water from coming in. A second option is a re-siding of the building with a metal siding, and that would make it impervious to any type of water infiltration. That's a decision that the board is going to have to discuss and make a decision on, because one does have a greater cost attached to it than the other, which happened, and that one is the new siding of the building. And while there is greater cost, I think that there's greater certainty as far as a more permanent fix to the building. So there are some possible advantages, especially for a building that the county hopes to get a number of decades of use out of. I have talked to the architect who came through and did the study, and he said that he would be willing to come and meet with the board to review. This is just a copy of the report that he did, and he could meet with this board, review this, give you his findings, talk about the alternatives, answer your questions, and maybe help you arrive at a decision, because that decision needs to be made before we can put this project out to bid and get it fixed. So he has indicated his willingness to meet with the board, and I guess that's one more thing in terms of a work meeting, that a special meeting for a work session that we can try to arrange to have the architect come and meet with the board, and hopefully that'll be a productive meeting, and we can come to some conclusions on that building and move ahead with the work. So I just want to know, was it the consensus of the board to schedule such a meeting? If so, I can contact the architect again, and we can try to schedule that. And as far as I'm concerned, the sooner the better, because, you know, every time it rains and water gets in there, the damage just gets worse. So it's something that we need to go ahead and move on, make a decision, put it out to bid, and get rolling on it.
Is this first meeting, would that be the right time to bring in other stakeholders?
I'd probably have this one just to have the engineer just, walk you through his inspection process, what his findings were, and to have him give you both the pros and cons of, the different alternatives you have for the replacement. And the recommendation, he does recommend, and it does make sense that the work be coordinated, that the roofing and the siding work be done together. Because if you look at the building, you can see there's a metal cap that goes along the top perimeter of the roof. There's guttering, there's downspouts. So if you had all of that work done, which the roofer would do, and then had someone come in, a contractor, to do the siding work later, all of that would have to be removed. And so that would just incur additional cost and time to the project. So, in discussing it with him, it would probably be, a good practice to maybe try to coordinate this under one general contractor and have the work coordinated, because that would be more timely and probably less expensive in the final analysis, regardless of which option you went with in terms of the wall work.
Was it able to provide a life expectancy in the two things that you mentioned?
He was pretty confident that if you went with the metal siding, that was a permanent fix, that would make the building watertight. With the brick, with the treatment, maybe not as certain how long that would last.
Commissioner Owens, the other stakeholder is the school system who operates day to day.
That's what I was thinking.
And they're the one that did the report. They had that done.
Yes.
And they submitted that to the county manager and to myself. So what he's referenced came from the school system. Mr. Green?
Mr. Green is one I was thinking, but
Right.
the school system, and maybe even somebody from their board.
We can, the county manager can reach out to them whenever he gets ready, or we decided what date or whatever it is that we need to schedule this meeting. But I think the action you're asking for is the authority to go on out and bid it out.
Yeah, well, what we're first looking at is, for the board to see if you're agreeable to have a work session, a special meeting work session with the architect, because before we bid it out,
Okay.
we would need to decide on which option in terms of the wall work. And we would require, either this firm or another firm for this type of work, to draw up our specifications for, something of this magnitude. In terms of, putting the bid document together that contractors would respond to.
Okay.
So would I know he will not be able to provide us with a cost, but would he be able to provide us with, this is going to cost you 30% more, or?
Yeah, and he does a little bit of that in the report, just giving you, and they are just broad estimates.
Right.
They're ballpark figures, so to speak. But yeah, I was able to tell you that the metal siding, would be more expensive than trying to do treatment and rework of the brick, but there was a more permanency, greater confidence that would solve the problem, that there would be no further water infiltration. Another advantage he indicated with that is that it also gives the opportunity to take, a building of that age and give it a totally new architectural appearance, which I think has an advantage, seeing how the property the county has purchased, where we're trying to attract new development, to have a building that reflects new development, is another, benefit to that option.
Madam Chair, when, I've recently mentioned the roof on the courthouse across the street. We get specs on that. We usually have somebody come in, they give us the specs, and then the specs go out for the bids. And on a project like that, we select a bid, usually it's the cheapest one, but when we began the process for Central Middle School, we got specs and talked about things. Then we had each person who was interested in bidding to come in and give a presentation like this gentleman here is talking about. When we put that up for bids, I think I might would want to do that process if that wasn't too burdensome. I don't know what the dollar amount's going to be, but when we're talking about a roof and we're talking about a wall problem that's been ongoing for a while, I think I'd like to hear, rather than just have numbers and say, let's go with this guy, I think I'd like to have them come in and meet them and let them tell us the process and let them say to us how much longer life would we get out of one versus the other and the cost. I think I'd like to go, I would like to see us go that step like we did with the school. And if that's not, we don't need to drag it out. But, I think you'll get more qualified professional bidders if we do that, because they have to come and give a presentation, not just an invoice. I think that might be beneficial. But I agree, let's go ahead, even in, let's see, could we do it near the end of May, or it's an afternoon meeting is what I'm thinking.
Well, we'll leave that to the county manager once he reach out and see what his schedule is, and then, we'll give him a couple of dates that we can meet. I know that the commissioners, they just love special meetings. They live for them. But this is the work we do. We don't do secret meetings. We do closed session meetings. When we go in closed session, that ain't no secret. And that's the confidentiality. But when we meet more than only 3 minutes, three of the commissions cannot meet at one time to of business. They cannot do that by statute. That's why we keep calling all these special meetings, so you have an opportunity and you see the agenda and you can sit and listen. And if we have to go in closed session, then it's a closed session. So we don't do secret meetings. That's illegal. So that's why the commissioners love special meetings, because we have to meet like that to attend to business. And that's just the animal we are. So, Mr. County Manager, what I'm hearing from the commissioners that have spoken is that you asked to, discussion about it, and we're saying go forth.
Sooner or later, he said.
Sooner than later.
It's not going to get better, the situation at your community center.
I need a motion.
So move.
A second.
It's been properly moved in second that we'll go forth with the county manager of getting the contractor here for a special meeting so we can discuss this and make some informed decisions. Okay?
Vote.
I will get some dates and times from them and send them to you to see what, might
Okay.
best meet your schedules.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next is the authorization to submit requests for additional state appropriation for the community center renovations. I think I'll take the lead in that. When I saw the report and read the report and did some background checking, with some help, some technical help from some grant writer, one of them is Reba Green Holly, who we have on the part-time contract. And another one is a person that I know that's familiar with contracts, grants.
Okay, yeah.
We have written a grant for $1.5 million appropriations. We're going after appropriations first. We're going to send it to our legislators to see if they can appropriate that money to assist with the renovation of the community center. That's the first thing we're going to do. That's ready to go. What I need from the commissioner is an approval to go on with that submission to Mr. Howard Hunter, Representative Hunter. If you remember, he came here and he toured the community center, and he asked us, not keep asking me, but he wanted to know, what are y'all doing? What are you doing? He gave us he appropriated us $250,000, and Senator Steinberg also appropriated us $250,000 for capital outlay. But Mr. Hunter, his was restricted to the community center. So I think we have enough, unless something happens I don't know anything about, and we might find out with labor costs and materials, but we think we have enough to get the roof repaired before it gets more damaged. What we don't have is what Mr. Wilson was talking about in that comprehensive study. We don't have that money. So that 1.5 appropriation ask is ready to go. What I need is approval from this body to submit that to Representative Howard Hunter. And he says, please submit it sooner than later. Don't wait till the last minute. They're in short session. We don't expect him to do anything, but it's going to be on his desk when they go back in earnest looking at appropriating funds to different projects.
Well, if you don't ask, you don't receive. So I make a motion that we ask for appropriation for the community center.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. C, water billing update. Ms. Diane Hendrick, Customer Service Department, come forth.
Yes, just a little backdrop. I'd ask Ms. Hendricks to come just to briefly address the board on the issue of water bills. We do have a number of water bills, both past and current, that have delinquent balances. Some of them may be past time to capture. Others, still may be within the statute limit of time to try to collect them, and to try to have her possibly give the board some insight on what some of those collection efforts may entail to try to the county to recoup this money that is lawfully owed. As you know, we're getting into budget, and we can use every dollar we can get. And also to discuss the number and also the value attached of the inactive water accounts that do have credit balances, and a plan for if they're inactive. Some of these have very small balances, and it might be worth more effort to try to get somebody back 72 cents or, whatever some of these may be. But, one way is just a matter of trying to get these accounts, better organized, instead of them just sitting there with credit balances, basically to get them off the books one way or the other. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Hendricks.
Okay. I'm letting you all digest. Good evening. I wish I had a little bit more time to prepare this a little bit better, but I got my email at 4:30 yesterday afternoon, and due to a medical emergency, I got a call this morning. My coworker in customer service is on the way to the ER. So I have been 100% customer service today and running back and forth pulling this together. As you were aware of, or maybe not aware of, the statute for limitations for collecting unpaid water fees is 4 years, and I've quoted you the general statute. Water fees are subject to the 4-year statute of limitations because it's the sale of goods. Previously, when I started working with water, water accounts were not closed because we seem to have revolving doors in the county. You would close, you go to another county, then you come back. So if you skipped out and left a balance on the account but came back to the county, we would cross-reference the accounts, make you pay the old bill before you opened up the new account. So that was our way of doing that. But unfortunately, what happens is we get into the situation that we've got aged aged uncollectible funds right now. And one of the suggestions by a previous finance officer was to use debt set-off. That was when customer service was also collecting taxes. We had access to Social Security numbers with the tax department. So this project was undertaken. And I thought, well, let me contact the School of Government on this. And we got stopped very quickly because those Social Security numbers were collected for tax purposes and not for water collection purposes. So that could have gotten us in a lot of trouble if we'd used those Social Security numbers. And there was nowhere for us to put them in our software prior to going to Edmonds. It just wasn't an option for collecting Social Security. But since we went on a new software in February of 2018, that's one of our means of identification is we collect driver's license, photo IDs, and we collect Social Security numbers. So after February of 2018 for delinquent accounts, that is an option to be able to use debt set-off because we have the Social Security numbers in our bank. When we first started on Edmonds, that was the rollover. Not everything transitioned over really well, but what we did do at that time was mass mailings of all accounts with that owed water, active and inactive. It was mass mailings. What happened is we were getting trays of mail back from the post office because they were undeliverable. And it began to be such an expense that we stopped going that route of doing active and inactive accounts and just kept mailing out to the active accounts. Daphne and I with the finance department, she's the guru for working on reports. And she has worked with the tax department on delinquent amounts and so forth and so on. But the parameter we did use today for delinquents from 2016 and 18 was 1,400 accounts. And as I was rushing out at 5:12 today, that was a typo. And so the amount on those delinquent accounts is $111,250.03. When you print an aging report, it does not give you the parameters to choose active or inactive. You can choose credit balance, debit balance, and that's as far as you go. So with that, we're going to contact the software company to see if they can give us help even doing special reports. And let me see. In reference to the inactive water accounts that still have a credit balance and how to close these accounts and refund the balance, Kim has worked and reviewed the subject, and her recommendation was to take one account at a time. There's a possibility that there is another water account, and if so, that can be transferred over. Or if they are property owners, it can go over to taxes without having to do a refund to that customer. And as I noted in there, Kim's concern when this is being done, it has to be done meticulously because we have to count how much is a principal, how much is the interest, because that's going to affect the audit report. So again, that has to be done account by account. The determining factors of how to legally close out accounts, if account holders cannot be located, and what the minimum of doubt amount to be refunded and how to dispose of these funds that owners cannot be located. I don't think I'm qualified to answer that. I think that should come from the auditors or from the attorney. I am scheduled to be in a virtual seminar on June the 1st with Kara Malanzi, who wrote that book, on the Guide to Billing and Collecting Public Enterprise Utility Fees. I've emailed her my legal concerns, and of course, with the time constraint of just having today, she has not emailed me back. But having the virtual class, that'll be some of the things that I'll be asking her. Anybody else have anything else? I know it was a lot to digest. It was a lot for me to digest today.
It is some black and white, so thank you for that. Fantastic job for putting this together in just a record time. From
Well-
4:30 yesterday till presented today. So that's unbelievable.
When did we when was it apparent that we had uncollected water bill payments? That it was on the books as, it was just
Delinquent
a-
accounts
Mhm.
that were the aged accounts?
Mhm.
Well, we've always known they've been there. I've asked a couple of years ago for auditor's assistance on what we can do to clean it up, and Kim has had such of a job to do with the audits, in the past couple of years, trying to clean them up. That was a lot for her to do. And so I guess this is the year that we finally get to pull it all together and clean up the accounts.
I think, and I'm going to go back and look, that last fall, when the citizens, before last fall of 2021, the citizens were concerned about their bills and concerned about water, everything water. And last fall, I think in October, we addressed the water bill as far as what we expected to change to help the citizens understand what was going on. And that was also the same time, I think, in about a couple of months, probably December, the decision was made to go like the area of the month building or whatever it was. Okay.
Yes.
I think that during that time, in 2021, the fall, it was brought up about these credits of delinquencies, that we wanted it cleaned up. We wanted to know how much it was, how much we could not collect because of the statute of limitations that you put in this report, and what was left on the books, and how we could collect that money so that we could put it in, toward the county.
Yes, and Daphne started working with that, and she moved over to finance, and she continued to work with that. And I had the reports that Kim had sent in at the end of March, as of March 31st, and they were the ones we were reviewing today. And again, they were debit credit balances, because the big question then was, were we going to allow advance payments? And seeing the accounts that had credit balances on them, if they needed to be refunded, so forth, or if we were going to continue to let the customers have a credit on their account. And that's when all that transitioned. And now, nothing else has been said. We're taking credit payments at the window, online credit payments, and it seems to make customers happy. But with the every other month billing process, customers, as I was just taking them at 1 minute to 5, I'm paying extra, to have the credit on their account.
Mr. County Manager, when can this board expect this process to move forward?
I'd have to meet more with Ms. Hendricks and the finance officer.
Yeah, so I have a comment if I can. Reading through this document, listening to Ms. Hendricks, I hear legal, finance, customer service. So it's really 3 different departments is what it's going to take to do this. So what I would like to see is the legal, the finance, and the customer service worked out in a timely manner, figure out what we need, and we'd like you to report it back to us at whenever you think you could have it done.
I mean, and Kim can correct me if I'm wrong, but these are not finance accounts. These are the accounts of customer service. Is that correct?
With the credit and debt.
Ms. Alton, come to the podium, please.
Yes, the way the accounting software works, basically when individual customers pay, that's being posted over in customer service. What I see as in the finance is the total batches for the day. So I'm monitoring to make sure that, our general ledger, our revenue accounts, they look right. I don't see individual customer accounts. I think is what the question, was that the question?
You're looking at a tally.
Right. I'm just making sure that everything is coming over on the finance side, but I don't, unless I go in there and look for what, I wouldn't have any reason to, but I don't deal with the individual accounts.
You're comparing numbers to numbers.
Yeah.
I saw this was copied to Kim, so I thought she would really had something to do with it, is why.
I think the legal, to speak to Commissioner Craddock's comment, I think the legal is the lady in Raleigh who wrote the book. Yeah, she can give us the best steps, the best methods. I think that'll encompass the legal aspect of it. But it's really a matter of getting it done, I think might be what I'm hearing the chairwoman say.
What I'm hearing is that we're going to ask the lady that wrote the book. What I want to hear is I want a legal opinion from the attorney about the statute, all of that. I don't want to hear somebody that wrote a book.
She may be an attorney.
If she's an attorney,
Not
that's
sure.
fine.
Not
If-
sure she
I
may be.
think she
if-
is.
If she's an attorney, then she should talk to our attorney, the Honorable Pitt Godwin.
Yeah, there's several things going on, just like what you said with the legal. We want to make sure that we are doing everything by the book when it comes to collections or even refunding money. The other issue on the finance side is based on what our service codes are, the expenditures. I'm monitoring it to make sure that it is being posted to the correct accounts per our chart of accounts. And then you have the part where you're following up on delinquent accounts, that collection method. So there are three different pieces to it.
Yeah, so
It
that's
wasn't
what
that-
I was saying.
Wasn't that
Three
part
different
of,
pieces.
of the
Let's-
study, Jack, that you and Linda did
What was your
on the
question?
water department?
Go again.
Yeah, the study that you and Linda presented to us about the water department.
Yeah, that was pretty much to understand the process and look for efficiencies is what we were trying to capture.
The comprehensive review of two departments.
Was the county manager?
And I think that's actually part of the problem, is that we actually had two different departments, both performing financial transactions.
Right.
Where I recommended on previous occasion that they should all be handled through the finance department. Just as with the advanced cash, the finance department didn't realize that was occurring. And that money had been incorrectly posted as revenue received by the county, when in fact it was liability. And I believe that the finance officer had to go back to the auditors and have our audits corrected to reflect that. I think part of this is that having these two different systems is contributing to the problem.
What Kim does, you're right, I agree. What Kim does, general statutes, rules, regulations is more than balancing our checkbook at home. There's more to it. There's more to it than that. But what we need to do is get these accounts to go away. I mean, that's the end product. That's what we're all after. So basically, we talk with some legal person, whoever that turns out to be, to make sure that we're doing it correctly. That's one of Kim's concerns. And find out how you do this, and then do what we're told to do, and get rid of them, get them off the books. Get the people their money, and I understand there being delinquent accounts. Because, we were spending postage over and over again, knowing we weren't going to collect it, just going through the process. That was foolish. And then the idea of not closing the accounts, so when Joe moved back to Gates County from Hertford County, you wouldn't let him open another water account until he paid his past delinquent. So I can understand why they were left on the books. So I understand that, but we need to get rid of them.
In fact, that just happened last week, Joe and Cat, that has been closed for 4 years. And they came back to the house.
And so because it was 4 years, could you, did they get access to that money? Okay, I believe I've read.
The 4-year rule.
The 4-year rule.
Yeah, they had closed the account in 2018. It was a minimal amount, like maybe $118. We told us if they had to pay that, and they did. They didn't question.
It's one of them kind of close.
And so there are some delinquent accounts that owe us money, but then there are some accounts, we owe them for they have overpaid.
Because they were more than 4 years old.
Okay.
Okay.
They have left with money on the books.
But even in that, that's good that that worked out that way. But legally, by this general statute, 4-year rule, we may, the next $150 or the next $32 delinquent account, whatever it is, we may have to give that up because we can't violate that general statute. Look how much money it is. We can't violate that general statute. That's why we have to do it in a legal method to make sure we don't get slapped on the wrist. And that's one thing Kim does not want on her record, is that we collected money and that we weren't legally capable of collecting. So,
Right, and Diane was correct when she said, when the conversion happened, there are some things that need to be looked at to make sure that those accounts are accurate with do we owe them money? So some of those would have to, they all have to be looked at just to make sure.
and I did hear Ms. Hendricks say that your recommendation was to do them one at a time. Okay,
Yes.
so we start, it's the way you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time.
That's the only way to do it. As I said, to compare with other taxes in the county, whether they be water or tax, if they're property owner. Let's be fair with it, you know.
So I see teamwork written all over this and leadership, guidance.
The leadership and guidance should come from the supervisor of this account. You're the director of customer service, and I'm going to say this, the county manager and the director of customer service and whatever team that you deem necessary, inclusive of our attorney, we want a comprehensive addressing of this situation. And I'm going to allow the county manager, you set the date because you know what staff you have and whatever else we have on the books as far as we have given you to do. But the day-to-day running of that department is not with the county manager. And so I'm just saying, we cannot allow this to stay on these books because we're losing dollars if we could collect it. The longer it stays up there, they age out and we can't collect it. Am I correct, Finance Director?
That's true.
That's true. So the longer we kick the can down the road, the more money we lose. Is that correct?
Yes.
So this needs to be addressed so that we're not unnecessarily losing funding that we could use for other things. And so I'm saying it again, the addressing of this situation needs to be corrected. This is about the second, third, or fourth time, I'm losing count. When we're talking about these balances, we're talking about advance payment, we're talking about all this billing, it needs to be settled because we're getting the citizens frustrated because they're the one paying the bill. And when they get frustrated, we get phone calls. And we don't want phone calls because I'm not in the water department. I don't know anything about water. So when you get phone calls, somebody in the water department or the customer service department, somebody needs to answer these questions. If you don't know the answer to the questions, you need to find out because this is going on too long. 2 years ago, the citizens threw a fit about their water. Broken meters, leaking meters, no meters, estimating, billing. It was all over the place. So now we've got these two things left. I think it's only two. But we need to resolve this with some type of remedy. And I want the county attorney, he's on vacation, but I'm quite sure we can get in touch with him when he comes back to weigh in on this statute and make sure that we're following it. And of course, the county code, whatever the county code and ordinances, all of that has to be on the table so that we make sure everything aligns so we can get this resolved. That makes sense? Commissioners, I'm doing this because I'm about blind with this sun, but anyway. But anyway, does that make sense? They go on and get this resolved.
Right.
In the legal and professional way so that we can get things done. We have the people here that can do it. And what you call it, the tasks that must be done must be separated, because the finance department has a role to play, and so does customer service. But you got to work together. And no one's going to be doing it. The finance department have their staff, and they're doing Edmonds, whatever the accounting thing. So we don't expect you to do anything that gets us into an audit exception. That is not going to happen. We got a good audit. We know what we're doing. We trust you. You just got certified again. But this has to be resolved. This is May, and we're going into a new fiscal year, July 1. We don't need to go into July 1 having this same conversation. We may have a conversation about the progress, and we can see some progress. That's good. But this has to get done, County Manager.
So, Madam Chair, what I hear is the county manager, when he's ready to put something about it on the agenda, he'll do that, and that's the next we'll hear.
And that's the next we are going to hear, and we're going to hear from the people who he has tasked with, whatever it is he's tasked them with. He's not to do this work. That is not his responsibility to do the work. He oversees the work. So when he puts it up there, we are expecting as commissioners to hear from the people who are doing the work. Okay? Any other comments from the commissioners? Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Authorization, I skipped something. And it's very important. Authorization to, where is it?
Appropriation.
Item A.
No, give me that. I got you.
This is a quick one.
Authorization for advertisement, request for bids of purchase, installation of remote sensing water meters.
Yeah, this is something I wanted to apprise the board, is that we've had some limited discussions on this as far as trying to take advantage of new technology in terms of making the utility department, especially the reading of the water meters, much more efficient and effective. And so what I'm proposing to do and preparing to do, and it works out very good timing with our new utility director, is to put out a request for bids for both purchase and installation of new water meters, which will be available for remote sensing. Because I know we have a lot of water meters that need to be repaired. I'd hate to put the meters that we have out there now just to come back and pull them out of the ground, because you have to go with another type of meter. So that's why I wanted to move on this quickly to get the bids in. So first we could get an idea on the cost to go with this type of sensing meter, and how much time it would take to complete the project. Once I have the cost, then I can take a look and talk to our municipal advisor, Davenport, about what may be the best options to finance this. And this would be coming from not from the general taxes, but from the fees that are generated by the water. So after we know the cost, then we had a little bit of this discussion last, then we can better determine maybe where we need to reset that rate to pay for this, which I truly believe, and especially after speaking with the director, that the system will probably pay for itself in a very short time, because we're looking at a system that it will still be drive-by, but that's going to be incredibly quicker than having to drive by and stop at every one you drive through. It will automatically read the meter, and then that information is downloaded into the system. So that cuts out the part of having to take written information from the field and doing data entry. It's automatically downloaded and can go right to billing. So it will make both, once again, it will make both the it'll create a great efficiency for the utility department in terms of reading meters, and also a great efficiency in having that information put into a billing that is then sent out.
I think Brad gave us just a little bit of insight, speaking about the town of Edenton the other day when he was in here. We were speaking budget-wise. So he's got some familiarity with that, so we can lean on him as well.
Exactly.
With his expertise.
Exactly.
I would certainly be in favor of that. Madam Chair, you're looking for a motion?
I am.
To proceed?
And I would like to make a comment. We know that some of our water meters are not working properly, so
Yes.
every time we change one, it's going to help our collection, because we might be undercharging some people. Because when we did our study, Jack, there was
Right.
a whole huge number of unworkable water meters.
400 plus.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very large
Yeah.
number, and that, will be taking care of that problem as well as putting a new system into place. That's going to be much more efficient. So this is one of those things that, once again, I think, needs to be moved on sooner rather than later. And I would just bring it to the board. So, if you saw the bid in the paper, you wouldn't be, what's this?
Yeah. So-
I also think it's more efficient because we'll have less manpower involved in having to read meters, and they can be busy working on fixing the problems in the water system.
Yes.
Right.
So technology is changing so quickly.
It is.
They're also using drones to read them. So therefore, you're saving your vehicle, saving
Yeah.
the person too, sending a drone out.
The process, I hope it doesn't take too long,
Wi-Fi.
but
So,
things could change. while we're
along
in
with
it.
that, could you give us like an estimated timeline that it would take to have the whole county go?
Well, that's one of the things that not put in the bids, just not the price, but, when they would be available and how long would, they, to do,
And
roughly 4,500, meters in a 340 square mile county, what would be their time estimate for, this as a turnkey job from beginning to end.
And I know Edenton is a little more confined area, but Quemmons has done the same thing as putting in drive-by.
Yeah.
So,
Much
For
more.
Quemmons? Yes?
or they are working on it,
Yeah.
working on it.
It'll save a salary, have a hard time finding people
Oh, yeah.
to want to work. So,
Yeah, and it also greatly improves the accuracy too, because, a person in the field can transpose a number, reading it from the meter, and the person doing the data entry can transpose a number from what they have. So, I just see pluses all the way around and no need to delay. And now that we have a new director in place who has knowledge on this, it's the time to move on it.
I'm sorry, this might be a little bit off subject, but are we currently reading meters now? I know we're only a department of one, plus our new, are we still reading what meters we can, or we still estimate?
Yeah, we're relying heavily on estimation still at the present time. Like I said, we've had some hirings, and we're continuing to interview for those positions. So hopefully we're going to get that staffing level back up.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I'm requesting a motion to give the county manager authorization for advertising, requesting for bid for purchase, installation of remote sensing water meters.
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor? Aye. It's been approved. We've been here almost an hour and a half, 2 hours. Let's take a 5-minute break. So we're going to recess for 5 minutes. Stretch your legs, whatever you need to do. Just don't go home. Sunshine.
Order in the court.
Okay, we're in the home stretch. Let's see, where's my paper? Here we go. Discussion, discussion, consideration of reorganization and staffing of county department. Mr. Wilson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know this is an issue that was addressed with the board previously, but I'm going to give it the college try again and see if you would be willing to consider some reorganization of the county departments. And part of this, in large part, started because of what the county experienced with the department, with the utility department, with the departure of Mr. Hedgepeth. I mean, what we found is that we had one person who held all the certifications that were required to perform the needed work and reports for both the water and the wastewater. I don't think that, and actually we had to keep Mr. Hedgepeth on, and we were fortunate that he was willing to do that he could still provide signatures for needed reports and samplings that otherwise I don't know what we would have done. So, like I said, we got lucky on 2 accounts, and I don't want to be operating on luck. I'd rather operate from some better organization. And part of that organization, my main focus is the utility department. We now have a new director who is fully certified on both ends of the spectrum, both water and wastewater. I would like to see this department reorganized from having a director and a multitude of utility system workers to have it broken down into basically 3 categories. There'd be a water division, there'd be a wastewater division, and then there would be administration. And the director, and I'd be looking for an administrative support personnel to be part of the administration of that department. The water and the wastewater divisions would each have either a division manager or a division supervisor. Each one would have to carry the certifications that were needed for their respective operations. Because I don't think the county wants to be caught in the position again that we only have one person who carries all the certifications, and if that person leaves, that leaves us in a tremendous lurch. By having it 2 divisions, in the event the water division supervisor leaves, we have a director who's still certified in both water and wastewater. Same holds true if the wastewater ends up being vacant. If they both end up being vacant, the director can still provide everything. It also provides for the situation if we lose our director, then we still have any certifications that are needed, reports for water, those can be covered as well as the wastewater. So I would like to see those divisions created and then have at least 1, possibly 2 utility workers underneath each of those divisions, and then also have an administrative support position working with the director and doing other work of the department. So, that would probably be the biggest change from the organization. I still maintain that the best way in terms of billing and any person's handling money should be underneath the supervision of and the control of the finance department, even though that person may be working closely with the utility department. I believe that the customer service department, that the positions that are there, the supervisor and the customer service need to be integrated into either customer service under the supervision of the finance officer or in an administrative capacity working under the supervision of the utility director. Another reorganization that I was looking at that I'd proposed before was the combination of the building and the planning departments. I still think that that is a better combination than having singular departments. Right now, we do have a vacancy in the building department. I think right now the workload that we're currently experiencing can be handled by the building administrator. I think a position that is needed and would provide benefit would be on the planning side of the equation, and that would be in the form of a planner and GIS technician. This would be a planner position, but this person would also have to carry working knowledge and abilities with GIS. That position could be paid for with both the existing building inspector position salary, and right now, the tax department, we are contracting out for GIS services in terms of mapping. If we had that in-house, we could remove ourselves from having to contract out for that service. So I do contend that the revenues are there to pay for a planner and GIS position in the newly formed planning and development department that I would be proposing. There's also another issue with that, and it's very similar to that of the utility department. Right now, Lisa Cherry, she is the only person who can sign off and do the zoning approvals, the subdivision approvals, those interpretations. The planner position, as I foresee it, part of the job duties and responsibilities would be that that person would also serve as a deputy zoning administrator and a deputy subdivision administrator. This could take some of the workload off that Lisa Cherry is currently experiencing, and in her absence, and especially in a prolonged absence, we would not be facing a situation that we did not have anybody who could review and sign off on zoning approvals and subdivision approvals, assist people with zoning applications like you heard this evening. And yes, we have a number of planning initiatives that this board has discussed, be it looking at moving forward with infrastructure improvements. We also have a plan. I was going to wait under manager comments, but I've talked to Ms. Cherry, and we will be contacting, or she will be contacting the various architectural and engineering firms to try to develop a master plan for the 144-acre site that we have purchased for economic development. That's going to be a serious, time-consuming undertaking. And as this county moves forward, we do need to plan and not be haphazard about it. So I do see a need for that planning position, and that planner position could take some of the simpler zoning and subdivision duties from Ms. Cherry, allowing her and using her knowledge and expertise for higher level activities. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be a better use of funds, and GIS is not just making maps. GIS is a very powerful informational tool, and I think that departments, as they learn about it, will realize how they can use GIS in the performance of the various duties of their departments. I've experienced this in other planning departments where I had a planner GIS technician, and he was spending 3/4 of his time doing GIS queries and creating GIS products for the other departments. So much so, I basically had to go and say, I need my planner back, because I needed him. So the organization actually did hire another GIS person. It's a very powerful tool. Once again, it's the county trying to take advantage of technology so we can do things in-house more quickly and more efficiently. And those are some organizational changes that I would like for this board to consider moving forward.
Discussion by the board members?
Yeah, I'm over here drawing out drop downs for water department.
to Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm over here drawing a chart out. So,
I hope yours looks better than mine.
not much. So, what's our water department supposed to consist of now, employee-wise? Fully staffed. I'm just,
Going down the utility department right now has one director, one wastewater system operator, one utility maintenance crew leader, and 4 utility system operators. So right now it is a department of 7. As part of the state's review of our systems, not only did they note problems in our systems, they also noted in their report that the county utility department was understaffed for the work that it needed to be performing. So I'm actually trying to keep this at perhaps the same level that we have now. We may be able to do that through the remote sensing and some of those things, but the state, if the state took time out to note that you're understaffed and that's part of your problem, that's something to take note of.
Could, since you brought up that, about the wastewater and what the state said, can you address the moratorium for us? Wastewater?
The moratorium that just came to my attention just the other week,
Yes.
that I'd been advised that there were problems that needed to be addressed on the wastewater system, but I had not been advised that there was a moratorium on connections. And right now, I think we have, 7 users on that system. Most of them are public uses. I think the exceptions are the credit union and the nursing home. I think all the others are public use.
What do you project that means to us as a county?
As a county, I'm thinking that the moratorium is related to until such time that the items that were noted that needed to be corrected, that were deficient, that once those are corrected to the satisfaction of DEQ, I would believe that they would lift the moratorium.
During the, I don't know what it was during the special meeting, I think it was during the special meeting, I think I mentioned that our issues with water and wastewater in this county is not just broken meters, it's not just estimating billing, it's organization, finance, and environmental. If you go to the website, that's how it's broken down. That's what Mr. Wilson is talking about, how many people are in the utilities. So it's just not a matter of, what's his name, Mr. Arnold going around fixing leaks and meters. It's the organization, it's going to be finance, it's going to be environmental. Because if you're not organized efficiently for DEQ satisfaction, not ours, we're going to still be in a problem. We're going to be distressed. And that's what I think we're missing. We're looking simply at this issue. You don't get on the distress list because you got broken meters. You get on the distress list because holistically your system is failing. Am I right, Mr. Arnold? I see him nodding. So we can sit here and try to figure out what not to do, but that can is too big for us to kick down the road anymore. Holistically, I'm looking at Mr. Arnold because he's got those certifications. He's worked in it before in Edenton and other places. He's aware. And we're going to depend on you, Mr. Arnold, to keep us on the straight and narrow to get off this distress list and stay off of it. It's not just the hydrants. We know we got to fix the hydrants. We know we got to fix the water. We know we got meters. We know we got remote sensing. But it's the organization, is how we run that water and wastewater system. And until we address it, we're going to be in trouble. And when we write for funds to fix it, they want a comprehensive plan. You just can't send in and say, I want $1 million to fix some meters. They want to see what your organization looks like. They're going to want to see what your finance look like, because when you get the grant, how are you going to sustain it? They want to see that. He keeps nodding. Every time I say something, he keeps nodding.
You know,
We're past that.
we're at a place where I'm going to refer back to our audit, our financial audit, telling us we need more people, bodies in the finance department, you know, and we ignored it because it was more money, and we said, hey, we're doing okay without it, but, you know, this is more of a technical situation. These are things that have to be addressed. You know, we're on the list that we want to get off of the list, but not only that, you know, we want to have good water quality, you know, and good wastewater management. So, you know, and when we were at the retreat, and when we interviewed the county managers, we talked about plans, 5-year plans, and efficiencies and structures. And I think, you know, we keep coming back to that. And I think, you know, breaking this down organizationally to where this person, this division, knows their responsibility, and their responsibility, like water, doesn't go over to another one. You know, they're responsible for this, and they're responsible for this. People can be more efficient themselves. And I didn't know that the audit or inspection of our facilities, whatever. So basically, they're saying we don't have enough bodies to do the work. If everybody got out there and worked hard all day long, we don't have enough bodies to do the work that needs to be done on a daily basis, not just to get off the distress list, but to do the job. So I hear
If we
what
were
you're saying.
at maximum capacity, now we would still not have enough bodies, is what they were saying.
Yeah. I think so.
And I think that, I may be speaking out of turn, Mr. Arnold, but I think it's because we've neglected it so long, and we didn't fix what we could fix, so now it's taking more to fix it. It's just like anything else. If you don't fix your car, you don't change the oil, you're not going to go far. You're going to have to get a hoopty. So right now, we're at the hoopty stage in Gates County. We have kicked this can down the road because we don't want to make the have courageous conversations. We don't want to take the political hit we may take because of what the culture is. Well, now we're on a distress list. And the state, when I received a copy of the letter, because the letter comes to the county manager and the chair, that was not a good feeling, because they had all this legal stuff in there that scared me half to death. And I think we sent it over to the attorney, one of them sent it over to the attorney to take a look at it. They're not playing, because you need, environmental is your quality of water. There's nothing wrong with our water, you know, but they saying we're on the cusp of it, so I don't want to scare the citizens. But ladies and gentlemen, this is why we sit behind this desk, to make the decisions on the recommendations to fix what's broken in this county. And all I've heard is water and wastewater for 2 years, water and wastewater. Well, it's organization, finance, and environmental. What I just heard Mr. Wilson's talking about, nobody's going home, and we're not going to have a bureaucracy either. I've heard that word thrown around, hiring all these people. We haven't hired anybody except for people we need. And my thing is this. We have vacancies. I'm going to go back to my experience. And I'm just going to say this for everybody to hear because YouTube's watching. Vacancies don't belong to the department. Vacancies belong to the county manager in the county. They may be in your department, but with efficiencies over the years, you may have started off at 5 people. Now you don't need but 3 because of what? Efficiencies, technology. But we want to hold on where they are because that's what we're accustomed to doing. Well, you just heard about the proposed budget. We don't want to put we don't want to put new positions. When you put a new position in the budget, it has to be paid for. If you have a vacancy, the money's already there. And you shift it around where it needs to be. And I'm passionate about that because I don't want property taxes to go up when it's not needed. Why? If you've got vacancies, and those vacancies can be shifted because of efficiency or lack of work, we're losing population. You just heard about remote sensing coming. That's going to cut into something. We already are, every other month building. Everybody said that's working. So that's just my spiel. I'm going to stop because I keep looking at Mr. Arnold and he's doing like a bobblehead.
I want to ask the county manager, on my note taken here. He said 3 divisions: water division, wastewater division, and
It'd be administration.
And administration.
That would be the director and administrative support.
okay. And then, and if I can jump over to the planning department, I want to sort of address the board here. I remember when Ms. Roundtree was county manager, and we had some vacancies in key positions, and I remember coming to a meeting, and we were asking her what her titles were at the moment. And her title was every one of those people that were out. She was having to do stuff in the planning department because we had to appoint her to some positions to give her the authority to sign off on some things that she did not have expertise in, but we had to have somebody who could legally put their name on a document. And planning department was one of them, finance department, I believe there was a role in there, if I'm not mistaken. This is when we were looking for, finance officer. But anyway, I recall those lines being blurred, if you will. And I really don't want to see that again. The county manager has been studying this, both of these departments. And he knows the situation better than we do. So, anyway, what we're asking for is consideration to do it, consideration to see it at another level, more defined, or?
Yes, I would say I would need to bring back something that would show you the organizational chart. And yes, there's at least, and there would be new positions involved. And yes, in terms of a planner, GIS, and that's a pairing that you do see that is common because GIS originated in many a planning department is where GIS usually came into the organization. So it's not difficult to find those pairings. And also looking at the 2 supervisory level positions within the utility department. Those would be new positions.
And we're subbing out at a cost the GIS program right now.
For the tax department,
For the
correct,
tax department.
For the updating of maps.
So if in the planning department, if one of those planners/GIS technician, we could bring those dollars back in-house to help with the salary of that individual.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so this is what I'm asking for, I would like to see. I know there's gonna be cost involved in it. I know you can't give me a direct amount, but I understand that if we went with this remote water meter reading, it's gonna save us money on labor that would offset the cost in this plan here. What I would like to see, I know you said 3 people under sewer, 3 people under water. That would also be nice if they could cross-train in case we have vacancies in this department, somebody would be able to, just something. Show us a plan, show us how much it will cost, where we can offset some of the costs, where we can make up some of the costs, and let's see it. But I want to task one more department to you. This would probably be a simple. See what it would cost us to break E911 out, so we could give Jason a break and everything he's doing too.
There is a telecommunications supervisor.
Just a whole separate department. I know we broke it out in the budget this year, but is it like a director or just, is he over it? Or he,
He is the emergency management director, and 911 comes underneath that, but he does not do the daily management, the scheduling for the dispatchers. There is a telecommunications supervisor.
I would like to see what it
That's Heather,
costs
that's
to
Heather
be-
Cheney. She
be kind of
she
big.
is the supervisor.
Yeah, I'd like to see what it would cost us for it to be a standalone department. While we're looking at department rule, it ain't got to be your top priority. I would just like to see what it would cost us.
Okay.
Thank
It
you.
would it'd probably be
Yeah,
just real short, going from
Yeah.
a supervisor level salary to a director level, if you're talking about making that its own separate department.
And I can visualize with that integrated system that you're talking about, the savings, that potential savings that could come up. Now, is this moratorium going to affect us at all on grant-wise for that 144 acres?
I don't believe so.
I think it may help. Because as we address trying to get off this distressed list, and we already have a moratorium, do I see a bobblehead? We have to have a plan, and it may help us with grants, because they're not trying to hurt us. They're trying to help us, but we've got to help ourselves by getting these grants and using this distress list and all the other negatives we have to demonstrate we need help, because we don't have the funds, enough of the funds to do it ourselves. But we also got to demonstrate sustainability. You get a grant, where when the grant runs out, that's it. You got to have something. You got to make sure that you're organized enough and have the rates enough so that we can sustain what we're doing, what we say we're going to do for the grant. So they want to see how you're going to sustain. I want to see Ms. Reba Holler bob her head. She bobbing her head. You have to show sustainability when we write for these grants, because especially if it involves people. That's a recurring cost.
We have to show the ability to perform.
There you go.
And when we got out on this distress list, that was the bad news. The good news was it made us eligible for
It made us
grants.
eligible, but we still got to go after them with Mr. Arnold bobbing his head again.
Yeah. And they did, when we received the notification, they understand
They
that,
understand.
yes, when that first hits you in the face, that, you're distressed, it doesn't have a lot of appeal to it, but they did actually note that there was a silver lining to it, that it did, avail you to grant opportunities that you otherwise would not have. So,
And I know we were called not very long ago that system that was backing up everything for the school, what have you, we only had like less than 15%. Correct?
I think it might have been along the time, Ray, where there was water coming in, ditch water was coming into the system.
That was years ago.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, I think. That's what I'm referring to. And we weren't
And the state-
aware of it. We couldn't be
That's
aware of
right.
it because it was underground.
And that was the time they were gonna shut down. It would been the school, credit union, the restaurant, the entire, shut it all down.
Well, what's the pleasure of the board? I heard some to-do list items,
Yeah.
and for the county manager to bring it back with cost and all the other, like a schematic, what does it look like?
Structure and
Yeah,
cost.
where we're going to get, where are there some efficiencies that we can save? Where can we gather in some more of our expenses from other areas? That's what you call budget work. That's what you call organization.
And Madam Chair, I would like to hear what our, exactly, it'll be easy to find out. We just look at, well, how big a check are we writing for GIS?
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to know what that number is.
Okay.
So do we need a motion?
Yes, we do. I need an action from,
I make a motion that we continue to explore ways to become more efficient and
Reorganize.
Reorganize.
I'll
The
second
pro-
the motion.
properly moved in second.
For the integration of departments. I'll second the motion.
Okay, properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
We just about there, folks. Don't fall asleep on me now. Consideration of new position, grant administrator. This is something that I put on the agenda. We're talking about grants. We need a grant administrator. We need somebody to write them and monitor them and report on them. Bob your head. Yeah, and that's not Reba. So I've talked to, before, I talked to about the ARPA funds, that we can allocate those ARPA funds as long as a project on the ARPA. Is that correct, Ms. Outland? So we can do that for 2 years. 2 years is better than nothing. We got to get started, because as we sit here and talk about grants, we don't have a grant writer. And we don't want to spend any of our dollars in our coffers for a grant writer at this point. We have this is important, but there's money sitting right there to advertise and attract a grant writer for at least 2 years. And that would be very evident in the posting, that this is a 2-year position. And then after 2 years, if they've done what I hope they can do, they can come back to this, we can, as a commissioner, can say, we need to put that in our budget or something, or whatever. We see how that person, what they can bring in, the position, not the person. And we may decide, and I'm going to say it, most of the counties have grant writers. They don't do this. They have grant writers or a part-time grant writer or something in their organization, because grants are not just writing them. I just wrote one. I can't administer it. And that's where the rub comes. You have to administer it. You have to, the administration of it. I see a bobblehead.
That's why we have the word manager in there.
That's right.
Yep. He does not need to take on another hat of managing a grant or grants or projects. And so that's why I had that put on the agenda. The funds are available according to the finance director. We checked on it, and that's what many of the counties are doing. They're taking their ARPA funds and getting grant writers or grant administrators, whatever you want to call it, for 2-3 years, and then make a decision there.
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of grants, a percentage of that grant can go towards.
10%.
Yeah,
and
that's
pay
administrative
and offset
cost.
the cost of the administrator.
Even after ARPA,
Yeah, that was going to be my question.
even outside of the ARPA, yeah.
And, you know, at Albemarle Commission, we had hired a grant writer, and it's coming out of funds like that, and, you know, we can charge off the cost of it. I mean, most organizations are doing that now.
We used to use a gentleman out of Roanoke Rapids, and I think we used him 2 or 3 times, and, you know, he would come periodically and update us on grants. This is when we were doing some things out here with the nursing home, and so I think a few things like that. But anyway, so we have had some dealings with that, but this is a new position, like a staff position. And now, the word consideration is in here, and I'm okay with that word consideration, except that consideration can go on and on and on.
You don't want to go on and on
So
and on.
I think we've considered it here. And Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we charge the county manager with moving on the potential new position of a grant manager and report back to us what he thinks it would look like and how we would advertise for that position.
Part-time, full-time.
Part-time, full-time, and with a 2-year.
I think it should be full-time, because, I mean, with the projects we have with water and wastewater alone, you know, they're going to have to be grants. You know, even though they say they're going to help us, you still got to write for it. You just can't.
He might could entertain both, though, in
Right.
his
You can do
report
that
back to us.
and report back in a timely manner so we can get moving.
Okay, that's my motion.
And if you have looked at the financial report, we have so many grants, a lot of grants already, that somebody's got to be administering. And so that would help Kim as well, if we had to help administer.
Okay. So we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving right along. The revised job description for the tax department. Who wants to speak to that? I can speak to that because the tax assessor reports to the board. Mr. Hill is trying to hire a vacancy he has in his department. I think We discussed that briefly on Friday. And he wants to change the grade, I think, so that he can hire a lower level instead of a senior position. He's having issues, of course, trying to attract someone to take the job at the rate that we're paying at that grade. So that's what that's about. It's in your packet.
He's going to advertise for an entry-level position instead of
a senior.
mid-management. I make a motion that we grant Mr. Hill the authority to advertise for a entry-level position for the tax office.
I'll
Yes,
second
ma'am.
that
And if we
motion.
can add that he can establish the step and the grade.
I think that's established in the what do you call that? The grade. He's already picked. I think he's selected. I mean, he worked with the payroll and benefits person. So I think that, but we'll make sure of that.
It was
Yeah, I think
actually a
it's in
cost
the
savings to it.
It will.
It was 20.
It's in the reading that we had.
Just if I could take a look at the,
I thought it was. I can't.
the information that was presented, is he,
He's gone.
oh, he's gone.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, because I said, what would be to actually establish the position, because they are new titles, is that you would be approving the job descriptions, and I was looking to see if on the attached Gates County, the grade classifications, if those were all, if these two positions
They
were.
are. We've saw them.
If they're already listed in here.
They're already
so-
They were listed. He had them.
Okay, here it is.
Okay, so it is that, okay. But, yeah, so it would be to approve the job descriptions as presented.
It's in here,
Here it is.
Yeah.
next page.
Here it is.
I see it's
You
handwritten.
got it?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
just for point of information,
Yeah.
the motion on the floor got a second from my far right over here.
Okay, from Commissioner Craddock. Okay. I have a motion and a second. All approve?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Then we added some more to the new job description, okay, for new business, we added, we pulled off the consent agenda.
The DSLs, wasn't it?
First one was the budget amendment F-22040 to cover office furniture for the relocation of the water department. That's the first one I have listed here. Before we go there, I see Mr. Willis Smith sitting there, and he had submitted an amendment, I think an amendment added to the agenda to purchase DSS laptops with funds that you have identified. He's got a bobblehead going too. Okay. I think that's in here somewhere.
261. That is the budget. It's $15,000.
It's $15,000.
It was.
Do you need Mr. Smith to come to the podium and?
It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
I'm just
that he-
asking.
He found, sure, yeah. He found the funds within the current budget to make the purchase. And being on his board, I do know the significance of the need. I don't need any further explanation. And if my colleagues are okay, I will make a motion to approve this request from the DSS board.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Now we go back to the budget amendment board to cover office furniture for relocation of the water department. I think it was suggested by or amended by Commissioner Craddock.
Yeah, I was just looking through and the cost of $20,000 really caught my eye for office furniture and supplies. Is this including computers and
This would be for 4 offices. It'd be for 4 offices.
4 offices?
Yes, this would be for the furniture, any file cabinets, chairs for the utility department.
Okay.
Because right now, they're scattered about. The staff it's not in a central location, and we're looking at putting them in the 4 vacant offices in front of the administration building to have that repainted and to try to get some continuity of the furniture in each of the 4 offices, so it has more of a professional and a consistent look. The 20,000 is I consider it a very high conservative. I don't think it's gonna approach that, but it would be for the 4 desks, chairs, file cabinet needs, if they need a bookshelf, something like that. But I think it can be done well within the 20,000, and that is within the existing budget.
And where are they located now?
The director is over in Building and Grounds, and they're just, like I said, they're not in one central location. I think as a department, they should be located together. So, when that director comes in that day, especially even if there's not a reorganization, that's where staff reports to work, is at their department. He knows who's there, when they're there, and then if they will need to leave throughout the day to go about and do their job, but I think they should be reporting at a central office and have a central office.
Pick up their job description for the day, if nothing else.
Yeah.
and all this was already in the budget?
Yeah, it was looked at, and this was, these dollars, are coming from the utility department budget.
Not on and on and on. Most likely, the office furniture is gonna cost less than 20. Are they gonna need new computers? Would this help cover if they needed new computers also?
Well, I mean, there's the existing computer that, that the director has and the other staff. I don't know. I'd have to talk to Warren to see if I can, I don't know. If you can refresh my memory if that involved any additional computer. It will need 3. Okay.
All right, that's all the questions I had.
Okay.
Okay.
I knew at least one computer was covered because Warren was loading up the new software or something on it, so.
The other one that was pulled off is the request for surplus 2002 Parker boat and trailer and 200 horsepower Evinrude outboard. Commissioner Craddock?
Yeah, so I was looking at this, and I know we've seen it before, we kind of took it off. This is one of those items, I know everybody's heard what BOAT stands for, break out another 1,000. But if you had to buy that boat new today, it'd be somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000. And if I'm not mistaken, this weekend, Mr. Freeman, you might be able to help me with this one. I've heard a little word that we had a boat that was sinking, called 911. One of our deputies got on someone else's boat, and Hertford County ended up coming to help. We've already got this, I call it an asset, might need some work. But I think if we kept this boat and had it in running condition, Sheriff's Department could benefit from it. Emergency management, the EMS, fire departments, rescue. I would hate for that nice of a boat to essentially, I think it said $2,500 what it was valued at, to go away. I really do. I mean, it has great potential. A Parker boat made right here in North Carolina, they're top of the line. So I would suggest, before we give it away or sell it for $2,500 or whatever it was, let's see what it would take to get it running. I'll be glad to help with getting it running.
Do we know for sure that it doesn't run?
I don't know.
It's not been used. It's in very rough shape.
So,
I mean, when I went to go, the radio, when I pulled the mic out, all of the casing started falling off of it. That boat needs to be rewired. It needs new instruments. There's doubt whether or not the engines could even turn over on it. It's in rough shape.
yeah,
And it's
100%.
not, it's very good for what game and inland fisheries probably needed. I don't know if it's the best platform for a rescue type.
Well, I know Parker, I had one of them, they floated in 12 inches of water, fully loaded.
Yeah.
We got plenty of deep water access around here. It takes extremely rough water. I would just, before we really get rid of it, I would really like to, not me personally, but I would really like to have it assessed. Because, I mean, you're talking about a new radio, you're talking a couple $100 here. Now, if you had to replace the whole motor, you're looking at thousands. But as far as a little few electronics, it really don't cost that much. And it would be hurricanes.
You'd be surprised.
I know boats, I promise you.
I've taken them up and down from Florida.
Yeah.
Viking yachts, I mean, I know them too.
Well, this is not a Viking yacht by no means, I know. But I really hate to see what could potentially be a great asset.
Well, that's why I recommend giving it to, I mean, because, you know, Rescue said that they wanted it, that they could put it to use, so that's what I was recommending, donate it to
Yeah.
Gates Rescue.
Can we hold off a little bit longer on that, please?
Well, now, so let me ask a question. But it's being surplused, right?
Yes.
Okay, but you said donating it to Gates
Yeah.
Rescue.
Yeah, when you surplus, you can either sell it, you can donate it, or you can junk it if that's all it's worth. Those are essentially your three options. And so I'd recommend it, since it was Gates County EMS that it expressed an interest in it, if they wanted to, you know, to pay for what it's going to take to make that boat operational.
I remember when we heard it before, when I first heard it, I didn't, I don't remember if I commented on it, but I know I've commented on it since that meeting at least, because I was a little concerned about having an asset, even though we hadn't used it, because the comments were that it hadn't been used in a while. But it's paid for. I don't know how we acquired it. If we knew the history,
I think the state gave it to us.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
a lot of those
game
things,
and
I remember things they've given us stuff. I would ask, I'm going to agree with Commissioner Craddock. I'd like to at least delay. And not that, I'm not a boat expert. No need for me to go out there and look at it.
Me either.
And I trust your opinion on it.
I'm not second guessing.
Right.
No,
But
I just
Oh, no, I didn't.
yeah, I'd like to give the commissioner an opportunity to go out there and just look at it. And, but I do like the concept of donating it to rescue, if that's, you know, that is one of the things you're suggesting, right?
And Jack, I don't know if you recall, that was a grant, that boat was a grant for rescue, water rescue. So I don't believe the county has any funds in that boat at all. None.
Is that right?
There were a couple of jet skis, I think, in that boat. My involvement with the fire department had no involvement with the county government at all, was when that was granted to a group called the Water Rescue in Gates County.
I recall a few years ago going to a regional thing in Sandbanks, out of the Diary, out there. Do you know if that boat was used out there? You know, they did some mock rescues and things, and so you don't recall whether it was there?
I remember going out there, but I don't, I thought it was they were looking for missing people exercise.
Actually, they were doing like a mock drill, and then 2 days later, they had a real live situation.
Yeah. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion?
You wanna make a motion?
Commissioner Carter? Motion, please.
Let's,
You want me to make a
You'll make a
motion? I'll
motion
make a
on the
motion that Commissioner Craddock has an opportunity to take a look at that surplus boat prior to us making a decision on the final disposition.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Aye. So be it. All right, we are at the end
I
now.
won't Terry. I won't Terry.
Now, we don't see that boat behind the truck going home.
Yeah, fishing.
Put him under surveillance, Ray.
We have,
Did we approve that? Did we take a vote? Okay, just one minute.
we have Commissioner and County Manager comments. Commissioner Craddock, let's start with you.
I just want to thank on the Housing Committee again for doing what they do, keeping a check on the homes, as well as Mr. Wilson for following up and what I would call lighting the fire to get things going. In the budget, I don't know if everybody got to see it or not, but in the amendments, we're buying more equipment for E911. So that's developing and getting upgraded. And then to end it up, I would like to thank all the citizens that come out and spoke tonight. Really do appreciate it.
Commissioner Owens?
Well, let me speak to participation and involvement. I thank Mr. Kittrell for coming out and his comment about him being the only one coming here. He's very thorough, and appreciate his comments. And don't know what the end result will be, but we have a little more work to do, a little more tweaking. But it's good to see everybody out.
Commissioner Hopper?
I too would like to thank everybody for coming tonight. As always, we'd like to hear from our citizens. Budget time is not my favorite time of year, and it's really going to be a tough one this year with inflation, as we see the ramifications of that in gas and all the items we buy. I think it's going to be real tough to get a balanced budget and try to be as conservative as we can concerning that. Just a couple things. Jim's, the food drive is Saturday morning from, I want to say 9:30 to 11:30. We also, Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, we have the unveiling of our Unity Monument. We hope that you can attend that. That's a very historic day for us. And once again, just thank you for coming, thank you for participating, and we look forward to seeing you again next month, same time, same place.
Commissioner Freeman?
Thank you, ma'am. I'd like to certainly thank the entire government of Gates for putting together the budget that we've had an opportunity to look at and explore, and certainly want to thank Mr. Kittrell for bringing forth and dissecting the budget in front of us as well, because we hear some things that maybe we may not have read. As it always stands, I want to echo what Commissioner Craddock said about the Housing Committee, how very important that is in our county, and how some folks have kind of been left behind by other means not at the county's reasoning. And last but not least, I will always stand not to raise taxes. I think several commissioners and us have been in the same budget meetings for years, and I've always stood that and have fought that to the grind, and have those options, and have our county manager explore those options with our finance officer on balancing the budget, not reducing salaries, not reducing manpower, but finding the means and ways to balance the budget. So thank you.
Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, I think I went off on a few tangents on some of my other items, so I think I've pretty much covered it. But yes, I'd also like to thank the staff with the preparation of the budget. Everybody did a good job, did a stellar job. And we've also had some people out of the office, I know in administration, and yes, I'd like to thank the staff for pitching in and still getting everything done, even though we're short-staffed.
Okay. For my updates, I just want to remind everyone, like Commissioner Hoffler, that there is going to be a program here for unveiling of the Unity Monument. You see it across the street wrapped up. Don't go peep at it. We got cameras on it. I'm just playing. Don't get a preview. But that's 10 o'clock Saturday morning. It's 10 to 11. The committee worked on the draft of the program. I helped them with it. Ms. Hoffler, of course, proofread it. It was printed. It's ready to go. It's beautiful. No, you can't have one unless you come to the program. I'll give you one. There's not parting gifts tonight. So please be here. It's only going to be an hour. We'll leave this meeting room and go across the street for the actual unveiling. And the committee will be here, the ones that can attend, and others that we hope to spread the word that we will be having that. Also, let us be mindful of Gates County graduation on June 10th at 7:15. I think you probably got an invitation from the school system. And also on June 14th, that's the County Assembly Day. I mentioned it before that county commissioners from across the state are invited to come to Raleigh to hear from executive and legislative leadership and meet with legislators to share county priorities. And this is the first time they'll meet in person because of COVID in about 2 years. So this is our opportunity. Now, that's the day before our regular meeting, but you don't have to stay all day. But I think it's important that the commissioners get in front of our legislators and tell them what we need, instead of just sending in grants and opportunities. They need to see and hear from us. So that's June 14th. And then our annual meeting is in August for county commissioners. I think that's going to be held in Charlotte. I'm not sure, somewhere. But anyway, I saw that come in, and we will try to meet those. We need to get out of the county commissioners and county manager. And I know he's underwater, and sometimes he can't be everywhere. But we need to let the legislators know and see Gates County and see us at some of these meetings so they know that we are serious. We are serious. And finally, I was on the phone today in a Zoom meeting with Dr. Greg Murphy. He's in Washington, D.C., talking about health care at the medical centers in North Carolina. I was one of 5 that was chosen to speak to him, and he took time to listen to us. And you remember that we had a lot of publicity not too long ago about the medical center in this county, and I made it quite clear that everybody in rural counties have a lack of health care. And until we get to the point that we can afford a full-time doctor, I don't think you're going to see one. That's not what rural FQHCs do. I did give a shout-out to Trillium for their mobile van and behavior health. So we're moving forward. I hope that and pray that you understand about the budget. There's no such thing as finding money. You don't find money, you allocate it. And we say it because we get accustomed to saying, let's find some money, let's find. No, if you take something, if you pad it here, you got to take it from somewhere else. Or what you have to do is property taxes or fees if it's fee related. We don't want to raise taxes either. But when you have vacancies, when you have new positions in your budget, and it's not in that year's budget, and you want to retain it, you've got to pay for it, or don't have them. So you've heard us talk about our needs, and we're going to do the best we can to allocate those dollars from somewhere. And I think I'm going to thank the county manager and the finance staff and the departmental heads who submitted their budgets. They didn't tell them what to do, they submitted them. And the outside stakeholders that came in front of us not too long ago with their wants, their needs, and desires. We heard them. Now the hard work is to have the political will to do what we need for this county and have the commissioner courage to do it. So there's no such thing as my own money. You allocate it. And just like inflation, and I'm going to close with this, just like inflation hits your home, count the number of vehicles we got to put fuel in for this county to provide the services. Cost of living is, what, 18% last time I looked. and we're trying to make sure that it doesn't hurt so bad by allocating a certain amount to a cost of living increase. We're doing what we can with what we have. And I pray that at the end of the day, that we do what we was hired, with what we were elected to do, and that you understand that we listen to you, we take notes. I just don't take notes because I don't have anything to do. We're going to have some action items appropriate for what we can do. I thank everybody for coming, for listening, and those that will be listening later on. And please pray for this commissioner and all the commissioners. Pray for this county. Help us to move it forward. We got a lot of work to do. And like I said, you can't kick the can down the road anymore. So be mindful of that. We've gotten ourselves into a place where we're going to have to do some heavy lifting. And this commission board is ready to do some heavy lifting. I feel it by working with them and talking to them. And I thank you again for coming. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? We are adjourned.